right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming to Fighting Affiliate Fraud from All Angles. Obviously, this is not Samantha Murphy over on the end, so we had a little bit of change of program last minute this morning, but we'll get to that as we go through the introductions. Right now is kind of the big time in affiliate marketing for fraud because we seem to be getting it from all angles. And I know that's not really a new thing. It's been like that since the beginning. But I also think that we've cleaned up the industry a lot from the beginning. How many of you read any of the VentureBeat articles in the last week that have gone out that said affiliate marketing is a scam or not a scam? Yeah, basically that's the impression of us, that affiliate marketers, that we're all MLMers or we're scammers of some kind. But the reality is that we have a lot of people. We have affiliates, we have merchants, we have networks, everyone working together to make this a clean industry, as clean as we possibly can. And so we're going to talk today about some of those things. Just quickly by way of introduction, we'll have each of us introduce ourselves. I'm Tricia Meyer, known as Sunshine Tricia on Twitter, and I've been in the industry about 8 years. I own Sunshine Rewards and various niche blog sites, so I deal with CPA networks, I deal with the traditional affiliate networks, I've done CPC, I've done Google AdSense, a little bit of everything, and in some way I've kind of touched or been tangential to fraud in all of those. Next up, we have Michael Esposito.
My name is Mike Esposito, and I handle the affiliate program as a merchant for 9 total sites. We're adding our 9th, frightcatalog.com, this month. We have programs in Linkshare and ShareSale. I've been doing this for a little over a year and learning, by fire, essentially, because I started as Halloween got started last year, and we are a Halloween and party supply merchant across all of those sites. So it's been interesting getting to know everything, and I hope I can give a beginner's outlook on what I've learned in the past year.
My name is Brian Littleton, President and CEO of ShareSale, is an affiliate network. We've got about just under 4,000 total retailers running on our network and our software, and so I'm going to be talking about kind of what the network sees from their level, what you should expect from a network with regards to either fraud protection or something less than fraud protection, and things along those lines. So looking forward to it.
Terrific. Let me ask very quickly, since we're going to kind of each speak separately on our own topics, how many of you in the room consider yourselves affiliates? Right, how many merchants do we have? And how many either networks or agencies? All right. So, thanks, Brian. So primarily, it looks like we have mainly merchants. Terrific. All right, I am going to ask that you do save Q&A for the end because each of us is giving completely kind of separate parts of the presentation. So I want to save the Q&A time for the end just to make sure that all 3 of us are able to get through everything. So that's me. All of my contact information if you have any questions for me after the fact. If you want to tweet nice things about me, there it is. If you want to tweet bad things, there it's not. So I'm going to first start out by talking about Sarah. And I use Sarah in quotation marks, but that's her real name. And I feel like I am justified in outing her because of what she did. But that's not a picture of her. When I started in affiliate marketing and started Sunshine Rewards, there were a lot of reward sites out there, a lot of reward sites. It was very easy to have a reward site. There were literally 14-year-old kids that were running reward sites at the time. And what happened was that people like Sarah figured out how to make a lot of money using these reward sites because there were CPA networks aplenty. They were everywhere, and they were all running basically the same offers. And then there were all of these affiliates, all these reward sites, all these incentive sites that were running the exact same offers. So what Sarah and a lot of her friends figured out that they could do was to come to my site and maybe choose 10 or 15 of these other reward sites. They'd set up an account in their name. They'd set up a Yahoo or a Hotmail email account. Then they would go buy prepaid credit cards. And they would come to my site and they would look for specific offers. Might be Columbia DVDs, remember when they used to do that? Or Scholastic books, things like that where you pay, up front, you might only have to pay $8 and you get, a whole set of books or whatever. And through me as a reward site, they would get $15 back. So it was a great deal for them because they would sign up through me, they'd pay $8 to Scholastic, and they'd get $15 back from me. But even better is what they figured out, is that they could actually call Columbia House or Scholastic or whoever before the item shipped and cancel it before it even went out the door. So they were actually making $15 a pop on every one of these. And Sarah was making thousands of dollars a month through basically affiliate commissions through the reward sites. We didn't have a lot of talk across the industry. We didn't have reward sites talking to each other. We didn't have people coming to Affiliate Summit or going to the PMA booth and talking about what was going on. So none of us even put it together what she was doing until we started getting notices from the CPA networks that, number one, they weren't going to pay us for the offers that we'd already run because they weren't getting paid for them. And number two, they started kicking all of the reward sites out. So all of a sudden, reward sites were scams, affiliates were scams. And it wasn't necessarily that any of us were doing anything wrong, it was that we didn't realize that these people had figured out how to work the system. But over the years, through the course of the education that we've gotten through the trial and error, if we all work together, we won't see things like this anymore. And all those reward sites that all went under and all those CPA networks that went under, we won't see that anymore if we work together. So what I really want to get across in my part of the presentation is that the fraud prevention is going to fall on affiliates if we want merchant programs to be strong. It's very easy for me to stand up here and say, it's Brian and Mike's job because they're the ones making all the money, they're the ones running the programs, they're the ones with the tracking, it's all their responsibility. I'm just the affiliate, all I do is put banners up on my site. It's not my responsibility. That's not true. My perspective is that it's just as much, if not more, our responsibility as affiliates to work together to fight fraud. In terms of the different types of fraud, I have two different types of sites, so I'm going to talk about them a little bit differently. Incentive reward, does everyone know what incentive reward loyalty sites are? Essentially getting cash back, or if you participate by doing a specific task, you might get a gift card or you might get points. You might get gaming coins. Anything like that falls under that incentive reward loyalty, where we are passing off our commissions in some way to people, customers, consumers on our site to get them to do things. And the way that we tend to see fraud and affiliate marketing happens most with the incent loyalty sites when you're talking about cost per sale. It's just the way that it works because they have more of an incentive to commit fraud when they're doing it through some kind of site like ours. So their intent on our site is that they want to get the rewards without actually paying for the merchandise. So one of the things that they might do is they might make a purchase online and get their cash back and then return it locally. If you as a merchant are not processing those returns either quickly or at all and sending that back through as a reversal in the network, we as the affiliates never know that those customers are returning all that merchandise. And there have been people that have run scams, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in merchandise that they've been able to get and then return locally. I think Macy's was one of them. They were returning all this merchandise locally and then keeping thousands of dollars in cash back. So that's just one way that they're able to work the system like that. Another are the subscription cancellations with the big payouts. You know, for example, Blockbuster. If you're running a Blockbuster free trial and you allow an incentive site to run it in any kind, whether they're giving gaming tokens or the cash back or a gift card for signing up or whatever, what the people will do will be just to sign up for that free trial knowing that they have exactly so many days before they have to cancel, and then they'll still get the rewards from us. So if you're running anything that is subscription-based like that in any way, you have to be a lot more vigilant about fraud. And then another way is fraudulent lead generation. So if any of you are doing lead generation, whether it's education or mortgages, insurance, anything like that, knowing that if the consumers are getting something back for it, that there's a lot better chance that they might be giving just flat fraudulent information, giving their neighbor's address, giving their neighbor's phone number, giving fake phone numbers and addresses. We see a lot of that in the lead generation world. On the non-incentive side, we're more likely to see just plain credit card fraud, where they're not necessarily using the affiliate links, but the affiliates are getting the benefit of it. So they might just have happened because they did a search for a particular merchant and they ended up clicking through an affiliate link, or they had a toolbar installed, or they used a coupon or something like that. The general credit card fraud that you see as merchants, sometimes affiliates actually end up being the beneficiary of that. And for those people, the intent is really to keep the products and not pay for them. And it may not have anything to do with the affiliates at all. And I don't know if any of you saw the blog post that I did about a week ago kind of teasing into this, but I actually logged into my reports about 2 weeks ago after I'd already put this presentation together. And I saw a sale for $135,000 through REI. And you see a sale like that and you stop and you don't know whether to laugh or get excited. And at $135,000, you learn that you pretty much laugh because you know that when you see something like that, there's just no way that it's going to be legitimate. I mean, there's like that teeny tiny part of you that hopes that maybe some millionaire happened to want to get cash back on buying a canoe, but you know it's not probably going to happen. So what I did in that case was I immediately contacted REI and I said, this doesn't look right to me. They wrote back and said, yes, we caught it on our end too as credit card fraud. We have no idea what their intent was, that they were going to try and buy $135,000 worth of canoes with a fraudulent credit card and fraudulent shipping information and all that. It might have even been a joke. It might have been a test. Who knows? But because we worked together very quickly, they were able to cancel the sale in the network. They were able to cancel the sale on their end. I didn't add it into my number, so it didn't mess me up for the month or anything like that. But it was just that joint working together that we were able to do that quickly. So you're wondering, now I've got like all this gloom and doom. Oh no, there's fraud in affiliate marketing. How often does it happen? I pulled a sample. I don't know if you think 1,500 is a good enough sample or not, but I did, and Eric agreed that it was okay, so that's what I used for the presentation. I pulled a sample of 1,500 consecutive transactions, and for Sunshine Rewards, so that's the loyalty site, we had 44 reversals of those 1,500, and that's, I think, pretty normal because that includes things like shoes where we tend to see more on that free shipping back and forth. That number of reversals is pretty normal for me. And of those, only one was a possible fraud, which made it 0.06% of my transactions were fraudulent. And even if you throw the REI into that, it's still only 0.13, so that's about 0.1% of my transactions were fraudulent. And out of curiosity, it was a Thompson cigar one that I think was possibly fraudulent, and I say possible because the merchant actually let it go through, but I was so convinced it was fraudulent that I didn't pay the cash back to the member. So through some research, I thought that they weren't legitimate. So, you know, it's not the case that there has to be a lot of fraud in reward sites. There doesn't have to be if you do it the right way, or in publishers in general. So how can you spot fraud? I know I'm a little melodramatic with my McGruff the crime dog there, but it's as good as it gets when you're looking for graphics about fraud. The first main way is just through your reporting, and that depends how big you are. If you are a really big publisher, this is the kind of thing that you should pay to have written into your reporting. You should pay your programmers that when the reports come through, things get flagged. You know, whether it's purchases over a certain amount or certain types of purchases or so many from the same merchant in the same time period. If you have the money to have your programmers do that, have them do that for you. If, like me, you don't have that kind of money to have a programmer do that, if you're small enough that you actually can look at your reports fairly regularly and keep up with them, just looking through manually. I mean, you should know your merchants. You should know what you're dealing with. You should know about what the average order values are for your merchants. And if you see $135,000 from a merchant you haven't had a sale in 30 days for, you know that there's something not right with that. So you're looking for inconsistencies. With a reward site, you're looking for brand new members that are making a big purchase. Someone comes and joins your site today, and all of a sudden they're making a big purchase through you. That should be a red flag for you. Fake names. I had someone that signed up a couple weeks ago, and the name they registered their account with was Losing for the first name and Wait for the last name. And they argued with me for 3 days about why I wouldn't let them keep their account. And their email address, the name on it that came through was Desperate and Confused. So Losing Weight with an email address, Desperate and Confused, and they couldn't figure out why I didn't want them as a customer. And they kept threatening that they were just going to go to a different reward site if I didn't let them buy through me. And I said, okay, please go to a different reward site because I don't want your business. If you won't tell me your real name, I'm not going to send gift cards to you. I'm not going to send cash back to you. There's just something there that's not legit to me. Multiple purchases. If you're seeing a lot of purchases coming through quickly, and it's not because you did some kind of promotion or anything like that, you should be taking a look and seeing if there might be something with the blog post that you did or the promotion that you're running. There might be some way that people are finding a way to scam it. Same IP address purchases, the same thing, if you see a lot of those coming through all of a sudden. And knowing the different types of merchants. I mean, there are just some merchants that people for some reason or another are more likely to try to purchase fraudulently, and whether it's because they're returning locally or it's because they can cancel their orders or whatever, there are just some merchants that tends to happen with. Also, search terms. You would be amazed when you look through your search terms sometime. I actually found Macy's scam as a search result one time that somebody came to my site. And there was nothing on my site. It wasn't like I'd done an expose on it or anything like that. And it made me wonder, were they coming to my site because they thought that I was one of the places you could run the Macy's scam? Or were they just genuinely interested? So, I watched my reports very quickly or very carefully that day to see if anybody signed up and made a Macy's purchase that day. So just kind of watching your search terms. And then also the backlinks in your traffic sources. Look where people are coming from. There are a lot of get paid forums or deal forums that are a little bit unscrupulous. You may have backlinks coming in that you don't even realize where they're saying, hey, this is a great site where you can figure out how to get something for nothing. Okay, that might not be a bad thing. But then when you go in and you read more carefully the instructions that they're giving of how to get something for nothing, you may end up being roped into a scam that you had no idea you were even a part of. How can we stop it before it even starts? How do we not even let it get to the point that we have people writing articles about the scamminess of our industry? Because remember, our mantra, we are all in this together, we're helping out the merchants. So as affiliates, what are we doing to stop it before it starts? The first is watching for cheater talk. And that's what I mentioned before, like if you have people in a forum I've seen before where someone will have a whole forum created for how to make money online or how to work from home and make money. And I've seen posts in there that will say, go to Sunshine Rewards, sign up, and then order Blockbuster and cancel, and then order Columbia House and cancel, and then order Netflix and cancel. And you see a post like that, and you better be watching because you know that a lot of people are going to start trying that. So make sure, with your Google alerts where you're watching for your name, that you're watching in forums where people are talking about things like that, watching for that type of cheater talk. Also waiting the time that you deliver rewards. I know that consumers want their rewards very quickly. Consumers want to sign up through a cashback program, make a purchase, and get a check from you the next week. That's not the best way to work things if you want to try to eliminate fraud. Because the reality is you're basically tempting them. You're saying, go ahead, buy something, take my money, and then we'll see in the end whether you get to keep the money or not. It's not a good policy. Some kind of waiting period, whether it's waiting through the reversal period or return period or something like that. And also weighing incentive versus the cost. If you're paying somebody $20 to sign up for Blockbuster and Blockbuster only costs them $8, who wouldn't do that? Why wouldn't you do that? If you could make $12 and get Blockbuster for a month, why wouldn't you do that? So weigh the incentive versus the cost. Think about why customers are signing up for things. Are they signing because they really want them, or are they signing up because what they're getting out of it? Some sites do phone and address verification. It is a little bit pricey, and if you are a bigger site, that might be something to consider, doing that automatic verification for members on your site. We actually have had a manual process since we started, and we've tracked people down to where they live, and we actually found a boy one time, my mom found the boy, who had stolen his mom's ID and was impersonating her online, running some cashback scheme from his house, and the mom had no idea. And so my mom called and ratted him out to his mom and shut it all down. So it's crazy that things happen like that, but they do. And if you can find those things and you cut them out, then you're less likely to have that boy going and posting on another message board, hey, I've got this good thing going at Sunshine Rewards. He's not going to refer anybody to Sunshine Rewards ever after he gets his mom called on him. One other thing you can do if you really want to give incentives to the people that visit your website, look for the proven members, people that have been with your site for a long time that have an established record with you. Let them be the ones that you pay the $20 for signing up for Blockbuster, because they're the ones that have proven that they're not just there for the money, they're there to be loyal members for you. And then lastly, just talking through, with the merchants about what has and hasn't worked for them, when the merchants see fraud and when they don't. If you suspect it, obviously, the very first thing is stalk the member, because I'm an internet stalker, so that's what I do. I stalk the member and I figure out if they're legit or not. If it's not a member, if you have just a regular content sites, check your stats, check your links, see if there's anything that looks suspicious and where your traffic is coming from, if there are things coming into your site. Just investigate as much as you can quickly before you even contact the merchant. And then contact the merchant, give them all the information right there in the email. Let them know who you are, let them know what the order number is, the date of the order, the amount of the order. Get their attention that you think that there might be something wrong. And most of the time, they're going to respond to you pretty quickly and help you get things taken care of. If you have a membership rewards-based site, suspend that member's account immediately. That's one of the best things you can do, because if they're not fraudulent, they'll probably contact you and ask why they can't log in. If they are trying to run some kind of scam on you, you will probably never hear from them again. So suspend the member account, and like 9 times out of 10, you can tell whether they're trying to commit some kind of fraud and whether or not they actually talk to you. And then maybe reevaluate the way you're promoting things. Are you promoting things too heavily? All right. I want to especially thank Brian today before he gets started. He is pinch hitting, did not know until this morning that he was going to be filling in for us on the panel. So he's going to be winging it, but we know how Brian is, and we know he'll do a fabulous job with it. So thank you, Brian.
Sure. All right, so again, I'm President and CEO of ShareASale. We've been an affiliate network for about the last 13 or so years. And as you might imagine, over that course of time, we've seen our fair share of fraud, scams, gray area things. I'll back off a little bit on the fraud word, because what we've been discussing is, you know, mostly in true credit card fraud, criminal behavior. Most of our experience is in kind of the gray area of affiliate marketing, of click injection and adware and PPC stuff and things along those lines. So I want to talk about that. Quick story. As a lot of people know in the industry, I founded ShareASale with very, very little experience in the world of affiliate marketing. So it was kind of much like Michael, it was like a trial by fire, learn things really fast kind of thing. And one of the first things I had when we started ShareASale, and this was only, I mean, it couldn't have been a year in, I get a call in the morning, and it was really early, and I'm not a morning person, so this wasn't good for me already. I get a call in the morning, and it's a user of a computer, and he's very, very angry with me. And he says, you know, you've got your pop-ups all over my machine, and I can't even use my computer right now. It's completely broken. I can't even get it going again. And I'm like, okay, hold on, let's start again. What's going on? A lot of conversation. So this man had downloaded an application that was going to help him clean his computer of any adult material. So it was called Purity Scan, and it was going to scan his computer to make sure that there were no accidental pornographic images on his computer and help him get rid of them so that his kids didn't accidentally see them. So he downloaded this thing. And while also doing its job, it also put a little pop-up thing on his machine. This was, again, 13 years ago, so this kind of thing was everywhere. And the pop-up guy decided that he was going to launch a pop-up every minute, once a minute. And didn't consider the idea of, you know, a computer going to sleep or whatever. So this guy turns on his computer, downloads Purity Scan, sends it on his way to try and find the adult material, and then goes to bed. And when he wakes up in the morning, he has however many minutes that is, ×1 pop-up on his machine. And the irony was that the ad was for an affiliate link for a pop-up blocker software, which was just awesome. And so I'm looking through this, and it takes me forever to figure it out, of course, because it's not my machine, and you're dealing with a customer on the phone. But we finally figured it out. And it was just kind of an introduction to what people will do and what they'll go through to try and get cookies onto machines, essentially. So that aside, I realized that I was maybe in a little bit over my head a little bit. I had to learn pretty fast about what was going to go on at the network level. So I've got kind of 4 points laid out of what you should look at from your network to help with these kind of things, these gray area things. First thing a network can give you that you can't do as yourself as a merchant is give you aggregate information. So you suspect possibly one of your affiliates from doing something wrong. You see a weird conversion rate, you see a weird click count, whatever it is, whatever alerts you. The first thing I think you should do is report that person to your network rep and ask for some kind of aggregate information. Is this a common theme for this particular affiliate? And I would argue that you should demand this information from your network as a merchant partner. You know, one of they don't have to give out secrets or anything like that, but this is their role to help you work through some of these problems. especially with regards to things that you might suspect, such as adware or click injection or whatnot. These are things that are much easier to spot from a network level than they are from an individual merchant perspective. We just happen to have a lot more information because they don't usually bother just one program. It's usually as many as they can at one time. And when I look at it from a kind of really high view, it really takes me only a couple of minutes to determine whether this person is doing something that is wrong or gray area or whatever it is. I can define it back to you. Second thing, demand transparency from your partners and from your network. This is not always every click, every sale going to be possible. There are things that happen where you can't tell exactly where a click happened from, or maybe things get lost here and there. But as a general rule, you should be able to know where your traffic is coming from. Your network should provide to you, to the best of their ability, where the traffic is coming from. If you work with third-party tools that are within the network, they should be able to tell you where that traffic is coming from. If you don't have this information or they're not willing to give it to you, major red flag, consider that. Third, David, hold on one second. Hi. Pay attention. I was about to say your name because David is the chair of the PMA Compliance Council. I'm sorry. No, you're free to go, but just my next point was to pay close attention in the industry to trends and to use the information provided. The PMA has a compliance council of which David is the chair. Just say hi. Now you can leave. That's all right. Thank you. And they put out, or about to release, I believe in the next couple of days, and a really important, first in a string of pieces of information, white papers on things that you should look out for. How to ask questions about a network. What are the areas of things that you need to actually consider when you're starting or running an affiliate program? It's a great piece. It's going to be out shortly. It doesn't take a lot to pay attention. Use the PMA, use some of the message boards, use Affiliate Summit, come to these things, but it is ultimately a merchant's responsibility to understand what problems they could face, even if they use the network or anybody else to help them solve them. So that's key number 3. My fourth thing, especially when you're talking, and this goes back to really an affiliate and transparency, if you ask an affiliate to give you some kind of piece of information about their traffic, and you receive no information back or you receive no reply, my recommendation, get rid of them. If they can't give you some kind of explanation, this isn't 1999. There are actually a lot more legal and, just legal reasons for you to have to know a little bit about what your affiliate is doing. Back in the day, there was a lot of talk about, hey, well, I need to keep my keywords private, or I need to keep my traffic generation private. That is all fine and dandy, except nowadays it's not really acceptable. The merchant is responsible for some of this stuff. You need to make sure that you have an idea. You don't have to have exactly the keyword they're using. You don't have to have exactly the site they have. You need to have an idea, and if they can't give you an idea and they don't understand why you need one, feel free to get rid of them, in my opinion. Silence is not acceptable. Watch out for ridiculous claims. If someone walks up to you in the hall this week and says, like, hey, I've got 5 billion impressions every day, and they're not Facebook, or even if they are, major red flag. These are just things that you should know in your head are not humanly possible. If you ever get the excuse from anyone that their employee did it and they've been fired, just make sure to get rid of that affiliate. Bottom line, and no second chances. You may break this particular rule once in a while because things do happen, and possibly you get a reasonable explanation back. But I think the best policy that we've really had and stuck to, say, 95% of the time, is no second chances. The rules are clearly stated. You messed up. You did cookie stuffing, you did adware, whatever the rules were. You violated a trademark in regards to PPC, no second chances. What they do is, an affiliate who truly is kind of a no-good affiliate, that's what they prey on. They know they're going to get the second chance, the warning, the whatever, and they'll just bounce around as they get them. You cut them off, you don't give it to them, and the industry would be a lot better if we all did that. So anyway, those were my thoughts. Okay. Okay. Questions on anything network-wide, I'll be here so afterwards. So thank you.
You took everything I was going to say.
No, I didn't mean to.
So I'm going to provide a 1-year outlook on what I've encountered on the merchant side of things, and depending on how long some of you have been in this or not, this may be extremely helpful, but the back end of it is a little bit more involved, and that, without a doubt, will be beneficial for you guys. So as you can see up on the screen, I have a great deal of Halloween-related websites. Over the past year, we've integrated party supplies into it, so it's more of a year-round business. But it's even more difficult when such a large volume of your business is done in a short window of time, with how quickly people can jump in and out. It's such a concentrated amount. So it's even more important on my side of things to really be aware of what's going on within the program. This specific topic is something that was going on forever in our program. It's not I want to stress, it's not considered completely an issue, but it's something that we wanted to get under control. Obviously, there was some misspellings of our websites. There was, along that side of things, and people were benefiting within the affiliate network, which is completely fine, and we understood that. But at the same time, the reason they're driving that volume, hopefully to us, doesn't always necessarily mean it's coming to us. It could be going to various other directions involving our competitors, other websites. So we wanted to get that under control. So I was actually approached last year at Affiliate Summit by Citizen Hawk, who offered to essentially rein in these websites. We were going to pay them as an affiliate, but at least we got to control what we were paying out. We knew exactly what they were doing it, and in a 3-year period, we were going to get all these websites back. That's the agreement we made with them. They didn't get everything up and running by Halloween. Even so, they've done, as you can see, $30,000 in volume over the last 6 months, which over a 3-year period is $100,000. It's $10,000 for us in the long run. But if you want to expand that out over 10 years, it's $100,000 over the course of that time frame. So that adds up really quickly for the future of our business, and it's money we can obviously spend on other things. This was something we were doing in-house. It's people posing as us with our own URL on Google, on Bing, on any of the search engines, and we were doing it in-house last year using a way of hiding our IP address called hidemyass.com, and that allowed us to go all over the country, the world, and see if people were doing this to us. And it was very prevalent across all the networks. Brian has always been very helpful anytime I came to him with someone who had been posing with us in tracking them down. I believe the same thing as he does. First fault, you're out. The email goes to the network, to the person, saying you're doing something fraudulent, and the responses I get from people, like, how is it possible? There's no way we were doing this. Okay, you copied our exact ad, used our website, and you posed at us everywhere but New Jersey, where we are. So we kicked them out immediately. And we use the same process to keep track of our TM Plus paid search. We have 4 partners on each one of our sites. We like to keep our competitors out, and we keep our partners, because not only do we know who's supposed to be on there, they know on it as well, and they're doing some policing as well, because they want to benefit from those positions. So for this coming Halloween, we involved Brand Verity into the mix. And on day 1, I apologize. What they provide is a service that tracks 15 keywords for our sites 4 times a day, all over the world, specifically in countries that we ship in, to keep an eye on people doing the same thing, but way more complex and way more detailed than what we could find ourselves. So on day 1, we found 10. And each one of them got the email from me, CC'd our network, both for ShareASale and LinkShare, saying this is the behavior. Sent them a screenshot of what they were doing. Only 2 of them came back and said, no, we weren't doing that, or how could this have happened? So them being quiet and not responding was all I really needed to hear. So this, once again, is not something that's being done wrong on the publisher side of things, but it's something that was costing us money. And as someone getting into the affiliate world on a merchant side, it's something to be aware of if you're across multiple networks, is keep track of your sales. While there are many different things put in place to prevent this from happening throughout networks, it's not impossible. We had 2 of our sites that reported over 2 different networks. Cost us, as you can see up there, $9,500 in 2012. It wasn't being policed. We were using an agency at the time that wasn't policing it. It's our own fault. But in 2013, that's been eliminated one way by obviously keeping an eye on that and tracking it, and doing all sorts of Excel searches throughout the different reporting. And we consolidated a majority of our stuff into LinkShare, and we've kept 2 of our one of our stronger programs in ShareASale. So we had our program audited by All Inclusive Marketing, and they found through the assistance, actually the majority of the work being done by Ben Edelman, and actually in the room Wesley Brandy of iPensatori. They offer a much more invasive and complex way of tracking down these, what we'll call, I guess, cookie thieves, injectors, and all of the above. So they found one which I leave unnamed because since we found this, a little bit different than Brian's standpoint of immediately throwing them out, they responded within 15 seconds of my email and said, I'm going to go behind this, figure out what it is. They found out it was a sub-affiliate. They removed them from their program. Since we haven't seen this same issue come about through them, so we'll leave them nameless. But this is something that, as a group, they found for us. It's opened my eyes to this going on in a much more prevalent way in our program, and so we've been in discussions about doing more of this together, and they've already found 2 more since. So that's something we'll talk about afterwards. One thing as a merchant, keeping an eye on your top 10 affiliates / publishers each day will also give you clarity into the big order coming out of the blue, because they're obviously going to be in your top 10. So anytime we get an order over, I want to say $500 on any of our sites, sometimes even lower if it's a slow day, I'm checking with our customer service, making sure the credit card's gone through. We have within our company a pretty complex way of preventing this credit card fraud. They do happen once in a blue moon. We had a situation with Big Crumbs about 6 months ago, right after Halloween actually, where we had, I want to say, 8 orders over $1,000, all in a two-day period. We tracked it all to someone in Denver with a faulty credit card. Big Crumbs was actually aware of it before it even happened, and they were very helpful in figuring it out as well. So, it works both ways.
All right, we do have time if you have any questions for us, either specific questions about things you're looking for help with, or questions about the industry in general, the things that the 3 of us have been doing. Don't all rush there at once. Yes? The REI fraud, was it all the same type of purchase? It was the exact same item. They bought 40 canoes all at the same time. Okay. And I had a couple of situations that it looked to me like fraud around the same time with Gymboree. And when I started seeing new members signing up and making really big Gymboree purchases, I started getting worried. And I did the thing where I cut off the members, and they then emailed me and wanted to know why they were cut off. And I said, well, we saw some really big purchases come through your account. And they said, yes, we've been making big purchases. And it turned out that they were actually buying up the Gymboree clothes here to sell over in China. And it's just part of their business model here is that in the United States, they buy it and they resell it there because it's either more expensive or they can't get it there. And when Gymboree showed up on a cashback site, they picked it up immediately. So there must have been a message board somewhere where people do this buying and selling of, Gymboree and Children's Place and different clothes like that. And somewhere where they all talk about it, somebody must have posted and said, Sunshine Rewards is doing cash back now for Gymboree. So all of a sudden I started having a lot of big purchases, and they weren't fraudulent per se, but at the same time, Gymboree didn't want to be paying cash back on those purchases because they were getting them through those people anyway. So we ended up having to kill the cash back part of Sunshine Rewards for the Gymboree, just because it didn't make sense from an ROI perspective for Gymboree to continue to work with us that way. Yes?
Hey, Brian, what's your thought process? Most of these cases, the good version can actually see or identify a purchase that's kind of out of sequence or is larger. You find merchants that don't identify that, allow cards to come through that have inconsistent addresses or zip codes or anything like that. You have a policy with merchants in your network that can help you, can help the affiliates so they don't accidentally send that traffic.
Well, I mean, that's why I was saying with regards to a lot of the stuff that a network can do for you, most of it's not related to credit card fraud. I don't know as a network, I don't have the credit card information. I don't even know who the customer is. The IP address is about the only piece of information that I have. The rest of it is on the merchant site, and they control that. I mean, I don't know that we do to specifically answer the question. We have a lot of data on the affiliate. So if someone comes to me as a merchant and says, hey, I've had a credit card fraud problem with this affiliate, either 1 sale, 2 sales, 10 sales, and we're able to look at their whole account and say, like, you know what, I think this is the affiliate's problem, or it's possibly an anomaly with the affiliate, and I don't see that going on elsewhere. I don't see a lot of reversals. We keep reversal statistics, and one of the things that you can say when you're reversing a transaction on ShareASale is, hey, this was credit card fraud. So if an affiliate, gets too many of those reports or whatnot, we can help out with that. But, aggregate data is about the best I can do on the credit card stuff. Is I don't have any of that information.
On that topic, one of the good things that I've always liked about ShareASale is if you go onto one of the publisher's pages, it kind of gives you an assessment of what quality score, I guess is what you call it.
Feedback, yeah.
And anytime it's in the negative and it's something that seems like it's shady, we immediately take the commission down on them, reach out to them, say you're doing something fraudulent or you're doing something that we don't agree with. And it goes back to the people that respond, we get it taken care of. The people that don't, we know what they were doing it for anyway, and we remove them from the program.
And that feedback that Brian mentioned in terms of being able to say why something was reversed is hugely helpful to us as affiliates, especially in the incentive space. Because if I go in and I just see order canceled, I don't necessarily know what happened. If I see order canceled, bad credit card or something like that, then I have a better indication that it might have been a fraudulent transaction than just that the people decided that they didn't want it after they made the purchase.
A lot of affiliates now are using vanity URLs and redirects, and sometimes that blocks networks from being able to see what the actual referring URL was. And when you look at, for example, in ShareASale, who we're completely married to, you have a today at a glance report, and it shows just this vanity URL for some of these services. Is there anything that you would suggest for watching fraud to work around that, or maybe a terms change
Okay. Do you want to go?
Just in terms of the first question, when do I tattle in terms of telling the merchant or the network? I email merchants immediately. The transaction comes through, and within 10 minutes, I'm usually notifying the merchant. Then I don't know in terms of merchant to network how long they wait, but I usually do it immediately.
To kind of back that up, I would also go immediately, and that's the same thing with some of those issues with regards to URLs. If you're seeing inconsistent data, it's kind of the reality of life now when you have a T code to a bit.ly to a whatever, like it's all over the place, and you may not get exactly the piece of information that you're looking for. To let us know, because sometimes we do see a little bit more, but it's not part of the whole reporting deal, and we might be able to figure it out a little better for you. But yeah, it's gotten trickier with some of those stuffs and the redirects. Most of the people that are doing things wrong use redirects to hide their path. So that doesn't mean that using redirects is wrong, but most people that are going to use it. It's pretty rare nowadays. We used to catch a lot of people just on, and I was incredulous that this would happen, but without hiding it at all. And we don't catch as many that aren't at least making an effort to hide things. But again, my ability to aggregate information, not only from your program but others, is going to give me so much bigger of an advantage to figure out what's going on there than just the information that you're looking at, which is kind of like through a very small scope. So I would always lean heavily on a network. I would do it immediately if you think there's any chance of a problem, because we can help.
Other questions? Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the internal auditing process you have for affiliates in ShareSale?
The internal auditing process?
Are you constantly monitoring your publishers? Because I would, as an advertiser, I would assume that a portion of the reason I'm paying to an affiliate network would be to make sure that there's quality traffic, that they're monitoring all the publishers, if they have seen any issues with certain things that were alerted. Is there anything you guys have in processes in place that you're constantly auditing your publishers, or does it end up being my problem as an advertiser when issues arise?
Did everyone hear all that? It was about auditing processes and compliance, questions about what the network does. I will agree with you that it is a kind of a portion of what you're paying for in regards to compliance and things like that. We have a very, it's a big part of what we do. Compliance, making sure that payments go out every month to the appropriate people, catching red flags. I mean, I could run down an entire list of things that go on with regards to a process. It still fails at the end of the day if I don't get help back from a merchant or a retailer. I'll give you an example. Most of the time, we'll find something. Okay, we'll see a pattern. We'll see an affiliate that maybe has a bunch of orders that look kind of questionable, but again, I have limited amount of data about the actual order itself. I will send out an email to the retailer and say, like, hey, listen, I see 15 orders and I'm suspect of them, and I need some information back from you. I would say probably a good 7 or 8 times out of 10, I don't get any response back. That leaves me with a very limited data set and not a lot to do. But every month I can tell you that every single payment that goes out from ShareSale to a publisher is reviewed, and we look at it and we look at patterns, none of which I can tell you, otherwise I lose my ability to track them, but we look at patterns, and we make a determination over whether or not we think this is legitimate or possibly against terms. Sometimes that's ShareSale's terms. Our terms include mostly adware and pay-per-click stuff that is complicated, and affiliates get in trouble because they buy traffic from places that they don't know what those places are doing. And they get into adware and things like that, and those are things that we look out for, and then we look out for kind of real fraud and things like that. Where it really comes down to the merchant side is your own individual terms. We have 4,000 retailers. Each one has a different subset of terms. I don't know them all. I don't know which terms you don't allow to use on pay-per-click. That's kind of more on your responsibility. If you need help for me to give you data to determine what someone's doing, I'm more than willing to do that. But with regards to your own legal terms, that's where we kind of draw the line, is like who's paying attention to what.
Any other questions? All right, one thing I'm supposed to remind you all is that you were supposed to please take the time to fill out the feedback forms and say wonderful things about us, especially Brian for presenting without a presentation. If you submit
I expect
those,
tens.
all tens, please. Each day they are going to randomly choose 6 forms to receive a Networking Plus pass for the next show. So please fill out those forms and hand them to the nice people at the door on your way out. Thank you all so much for coming. Hopefully the one takeaway that you all have from all this is that the more that we talk about it, the more that we throw out there what's happened, how we've experienced things, we share things across the different contingencies in affiliate marketing. The more we talk about it, we put it out there, the more that we can clean it all up. Thank you.